Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Chevening webinar. We are just admitting people into the Zoom room and we'll start in about 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay, let's make a start. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for our Chevening webinar, Mastering Your Chevening Essay. And we're going to be focusing on the essay, but also how to choose your courses and how your Chevening study can respond to global challenges. My name's Harry Stockwell, and I'm the head of the Chevening Scholarship Programme for Indonesia and Timor-Leste. And it's great to see so many of you here interested in the Chevening Scholarship today. My real hope is that we've got a mix of people here today, some of whom maybe this is the first time you've heard about the Chevening Scholarship opportunity, but for others, maybe you've been thinking about applying for some time, and this is your chance to get some last tips before the applications close in early October. We're really pleased today to be joined by both representatives from the University of Nottingham, who are specifically going to focus on talking about how to choose your courses, as well as from Chevening alumni from both Indonesia and Timor-Leste. As I said, this might be the first time that some of you have heard about Chevening, so I'll just give a brief introduction to the scholarship scheme. So Chevening is a scholarship from the UK government. It is for master's study in the UK, and you can study any course at any UK university. What we're looking for and what our scholarship focuses on is finding future leaders. And that means we're looking for people who have a passion to change something in their community, in their field of work, or maybe in something outside of your work. So we're looking for people who have seen something that they think, I can do this better, I can change this, I really want to lead the development of my sector or my field. And we're looking for those people at this stage who've got that passion. But that doesn't mean when we talk about leadership that you need to be a leader now. We're looking for future leaders, and that's a real focus. So please, don't be discouraged if you think, I'm not the head of a department already, or I'm not a boss of an organization. We want people who can show us that they have got the skills to be the leaders of both Indonesia and Timor-Leste of the future. One of the really powerful things about the Chevening Scholarship is that it's a global scholarship program. So in the UK, you'll be joining around 1,600 Chevening scholars from around the world. And all of those people have been selected with that same drive to be future leaders in that in their field. So you're joining people that you can create networks with for your whole career, not just from Indonesia or Timor-Leste, but from a global community of future leaders. So Vonnie is going to be giving you a presentation on all the details of the scholarship scheme, but I just want to focus on two personal top tips from me. When I'm looking at Chevening essays, but also interviewing potential Chevening scholars. And that is one, we really want to hear about you. We've got a real focus on you telling us your story, what your contribution has been to projects. We don't want to hear about your team, your boss. We don't need or won't potentially understand sort of names of important people that you've worked with or institutions. We really want to hear about how you personally have made change in your current career or led in your current career, because that really helps us see your potential for the future. So please, in your essay, focus on using the word I, not we, not my team, not my organization. We want to hear about you. And then my second one I touched on a bit earlier, but leadership is something that we all do in different ways. And please look at the examples from your study, from your volunteering, or from your career to date of where you have been the one responsible for making a change or leading a difficult project or working with others. We don't need, as I said earlier, to hear that you are the director of a company or you're the head of a department. We're looking for that individual leadership potential, an individual leadership journey. So there's two small top tips from me, but in this session, we're going to be focusing on how you can write a Chevening essay, which is really going to showcase your leadership skills, your relationship and networking building skills. An essay that tells us why you want to study in the UK and tells us your career plan for the future. They're the four things we're focusing on. So I really hope everyone joining today can get something, whether you're early on your Chevening journey or about to submit an application, and there'll be something useful for everyone today. So thank you again very much for joining. It's great to see so much interest today. And I will now pass over to my colleague, Vonnie, who's going to explain much more about the Chevening programme. Vonnie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Harry. Hello, everyone. It's very nice to see that many of you here joining us on Zoom, as well as we are live streaming on YouTube. So welcome, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you again for your time. So as Harry has mentioned, today we have an information session for you about the Chevening program. And without further ado, because we already have people waiting here and we have excited alumni and also representative from University of Nottingham, very excited and keen to talk to you. We can now start with the brief presentations on the Chevening on the Chevening scholarship program. Yeah. Alrighty, thank you so much again. Now we can start. As Harry mentioned, perhaps some of you here have not had yet heard about what is the Chevening scholarship program. And to start off, I do have a very brief video to introduce to you about the Chevening scholarship program.
The prestige, the goal of the Chevening scholarship is next to none, right?
It's a world-class scholarship.
For me, it's more than a scholarship. It's endless opportunities.
A lot of cultures, a lot of different people from all across the world. I am learning here so much, like from different people. It's a diversity of cultures.
Being able to network with such a powerful workforce of worldwide leaders.
You know, there are people that are from all walks of life, so it's nice to learn from them, grow.
Chevening means leadership. Chevening means impact.
We know that Chevening is not only talking about academia, it's talking about the future leaders.
So every time I meet fellow Cheveners, there's just this one thing in common. There's the passion, there's the grit and dedication to give back to their countries and their communities.
Chevening has been the greatest or the best opportunity that I've ever had in my life.
one of the best experience in the world.
One of most powerful achievements in my life, yes.
Chevening.
Okay, so as you can hear from the video, Chevening is all about future leaders. It's about impact. It's about leadership. So that's what the program looking for in terms of the Chevening scholars. Chevening scholarships are the scholarship fully funded by the British government, and it is open for studying master degree level at any university in the UK, and it's also open to any field of study in the UK. In the next slide, you will see that although the scholarship program is fully funded by the British government, we do have partnerships with a number of local organizations here for the purpose of allowing more Indonesian and Timorese to go studying in the UK under the Chevening Scholarship Program. But currently, we do have 4 partners in Indonesia working with us for the Chevening Scholarship Program for Indonesian students. So again, as I mentioned before, in the next slide, you can see that this is who we are looking for. So again, Chevening is about leadership, it's about future leaders, and you will hear a lot about this over and over again throughout, I think, this afternoon webinar. But you need to remember and take into consideration who are we looking for, so that in terms of when you are preparing your applications for the Chevening Scholarship Program, you will be able to really meet the requirement for the scholarships. We look for people who have the experience and have the potential and the capacity to drive impact or make positive changes later after they completing their study and make contributions for Indonesia and as well as for Timor-Leste. Right. Now, the eligibility criteria are quite simple. As you can see, we only have these 4 points in terms of the eligibility criteria for you to be able to apply for the Chevening Scholarship Program. So the first criteria is that you have to be one of the eligible citizens, which in this case, if you are Indonesians or if you are Timorese, you will be eligible to apply for the Chevening Scholarship Program. And then for the second point is that you have to have minimum undergraduate degree. Again, because Chevening is for studying master degree in the UK. For the third criteria, now this is something new that's changed this year, is that you have to have minimum 2 years of work experience, but this has been undertaken after completing your undergraduate degree. However, what counts as eligible work experience still include internship, part-time, volunteering, as well as full-time experience. So this is a new change compared to the last year's or previous applications or previous eligibility. So any experience that you are taken before completing your undergraduate degree will now be ineligible to be counted or to meet this criteria. And the last point, but certainly not the least, is that you have to be able to demonstrate to us that you do have the potential to be a future leaders. And this is the way you demonstrate this to us is by writing essays, which our alumni will talk in more detail about this later on. So as you can see, if you have met all the 4 points, you are already eligible to apply for Chevening Scholarship Program. We do not require IELTS or TOEFL or any other English certificates, and we also do not require LOA or the letter of acceptance from UK universities. These are some things that you can work on in parallel while you are also applying for the Chevening Scholarship Program. Also, it's important to note that we do not have any age limit. So anyone, as long as you are still in having passion to study and to make contribution later on, you will be able to apply for the Chevening program as long as you are meeting these 4 points of eligibility criteria. In the next slide, you can see that Chevening is a fully funded scholarship program. So everything is covered, obviously, including from the tuition fee and that the living cost, the visa, the flight, return flight to UK, and as well as additional grants to cover any essential expenditures. So this, for example, for this would be like the arrival allowance and as well as the departure allowance. There is a small note there at the bottom of the slides is that we do have a cap, but only for an MBA program. So if you are choosing to study MBA program, we do have a cap that the Chevening will only pay maximum 22,000 pounds sterling for the tuition fee. However, this only applies for MBA program. And as I mentioned before, Chevening is eligible for any program in the UK. So if you're going to study any other program other than MBA, we still cover 100% for your tuition fee. Yeah? Right. In the next slide, you can see that there is a lot of benefit when you are becoming a Chevening scholar. It's not only giving you the opportunity to study in a world-class universities in the UK, but also it gives you a lot of opportunities to network. And this is the advantage that the alumni keep telling to us that this is the most beneficial advantage that you can get as a Chevening scholars. Within 1 year, you are studying in the UK, you will have opportunity to join or to participate in events or activities which is organized by the Chevening Secretariat. There will be more than 60 events or activities throughout the 1 year study in the UK that you can participate in. And that includes like, for example, meet the CEO or business competitions or panel discussions, but as well as the fun stuffs like going to Old Trafford together or traveling to the Highland or visiting the Buckingham Palace and things like that. With all the purpose for you to make network and to make connections with your fellow Chevening scholars, fellow future leaders globally, but as well as with the UK institutions and organizations. So Chevening has been established since 1983. Overall, globally, we do have over 60,000 alumni around the world. And the next video will show you. In the next slide, please. There's a very... Okay, so there was supposed to be a quick video, but the video is meant to tell you that out of our global alumni, we do have currently 21 alumni who has been or are currently the head of states. So very, very powerful network that you can connect with. From Indonesia, as you can see here on the slides, we do have notable alumni coming from various professional fields, as you can see, and we do have keep connecting with them. In Indonesia, we already have Alumni Association, which is called CAAI, Chevening Alumni Association of Indonesia. There are about 2,000 alumni in Indonesia, and in Timor-Leste, I think there are about 60 alumni in Timor-Leste. Right. So the application for Chevening Scholarship Program opens once a year. For this year, it has been open since the 5th of August, and it will close on the 7th of October. So there is still a little bit of time for you to prepare your applications for the Chevening program for this year. And after the closing of the application period, we will then have the first selection assessment, and then we will have people going through to the second stage of selection, which is the interview stage, which we will be doing later in next year, from February to April next year. Afterwards, in June, we will already have the announcement. And then, this is very important to note that by mid-July, it is a strict deadline for the LOA. So as I mentioned previously, when you apply now, you don't need to have an LOA. So I would suggest that you are focusing first on preparing the best application for Chevening from now until the closing of the application window on 7th of October. But then after you submit your application to the Chevening, then you can start applying to UK universities, trying to get an LOA. So that by the time you are being announced in June as one of the successful awardee, you will already have secured a minimum one LOA. Because if you wait until June, there will be very limited time for you to be able to fulfill the strict deadline of mid-July. And if you're not able to get minimum one LOA by the strict deadline in mid-July, then you will not be able to secure your scholarship. It means that you will be withdrawn, for the scholarship, which will be very unfortunate. And that's why it's very important for you to think of this timeline so that you can prepare both your application to Chevening, but as well as trying to get an LOA from one of the 3 universities strategically and also in time to meet all the deadlines. Right. Now, as I mentioned before, Chevening is about leaderships and future leaders. It's about making impacts. It's about making contribution to your own countries. And so the way you can demonstrate this to us is by writing essays with these 4 themes. So as you can see, the themes are related to the leadership and then networking, why study in the UK, as well as career plan. Another new change for this year application is that now you will only have a maximum word limit of 300 words as opposed to 500 words in the previous years. So of course they will give you more limitation, because now you have fewer words to write your essays about. And as well as the new change for this year is that you have to link your essay to one or a combination of UK priority areas, as you can see on the slides, and on the bottom left. As you can see, there are 4 UK priority areas, and you must link your essay to one or a combination of these points of UK priorities areas. In the next slide, there are some tips, but I think I will not talk more about. All right, sorry. The alumni sharing sessions that we will have later today will discuss in more details about how you can prepare or write your best essays. Our alumni have gone through this process before, so they will be able to share you more specific tips, and tricks maybe. In the next slide is the social media. So it is important that you take advantage as well from our website, chevening.org, where you can find a list of universities offering the subjects that you want to study. So if you go to our website, there is a tab there which is called Research Hub. And there you can type in the keyword of your program or your course that you want to study, and then you will get a list of universities offering those programs. Of course, then you will need to do research, which of these universities is really suitable to your study objectives, and then to also research on their eligibility, including what are their English requirements, whether they can take IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, or Duolingo, and so that you can meet their requirement to get the LOA eventually. Also, I would suggest you to follow the British Embassy Jakarta social media accounts, where you can have more updates regarding Chevening-related events, such as our future webinars that we will still be doing during the application window until the 7th of October. And also listed on the slide is our Alumni Association social media account, which is their Instagram at ID Chevening Alumni. I would suggest that you also follow their account. They do have more webinars and more live Instagram live sessions during this application window that you can join as well and get the most information, the most detailed informations, and the more specific tips and tricks on how to prepare your application for Chevening. As well as in our YouTube channels, you can see the recordings of the previous webinars. And so if you're not able to join us next time for the upcoming webinars, you will still be able to view the recordings on our YouTube channel. So To recap, the Chevening Scholarship Program is the fully funded Chevening scholarship from the British government. It is open for studying a master degree in any courses, in any field of study, and in any universities in the UK. The application for this year is still open until the 7th of October. I think this is my last slide, but I think we are keeping the Q&A session at the end as per the rundown. So after this, I will hand this over to our next speaker, who is Professor Bagus Mulyadi from the University of Nottingham, who will talk to you more about preparing your Chevening essay related to why I study in the UK. But before that, I do have another quick video for you to have a look first.
I cannot see the video. Kak Ita, I think can you please?
Oh, sorry.
How is it? Can you restart again? Thank you.
Yeah, it's not now.
Is it okay now?
Can you play?
Yes.
Please play with the video again.
Merry Christmas, Chevening.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Feliz Navidad.
Merry Christmas.
One, two, three.
All right. So as I mentioned before, we will have our Q&A session after or towards the end of this webinar this afternoon. Yeah. So please, if you do have questions that you would like to ask, please keep them with you. and write them in your notes and be ready to ask us the questions later in the Q&A session. So for the next session, I think we already have Professor Bagus from the University of Nottingham joining us. Yeah, Professor, thank you for joining us. Take it away, please.
Thanks very much, Fonny. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Although I cannot really see you, it's all like blocked cameras, but I've seen some of you. Hello, Alda. Hello, Dini, Berta, and others. Well, good to be with you. You know what? Actually, I am fine. Thank you very much. It's getting cold in the UK. I am literally flying to Indonesia in 6 hours. So I hope to see you in Indonesia and for a series of discussions on behalf both Nottingham and on behalf of Chronicles, as some of you probably have heard of. But today I'm going to talk at length about my own personal experience in doing research at Nottingham as a faculty member at Chemical and Environmental Engineering in the UK campus. And I think there's a lot to be said about what we expect Chevening recipients in terms of their aspirations in building the country, in terms of their ability to synthesize multidisciplinary experiences that they will encounter in the UK. I would like to talk more about that, but from my own experience. So before I move on to the slides, I would like to explain a little bit for those who don't know that despite being a academic at chemical engineering at Nottingham, never was a student at chemical engineering faculty. So I did my bachelor degree in Indonesia, in ITB, in mechanical engineering department, now FTMD. And then I moved to Taiwan back in 2006 and I studied physics there. So I changed disciplines for my master and for my PhD. And then my first career as an academic was in France, and that was at Institut de Mathématiques de Toulouse. So I moved discipline again to this time Department of Mathematics, and that's quite a stark difference. I don't know if some of you can imagine, but moving from engineering to physics to math is not quite trivial matter, considering that mathematics in France is a discipline that is held in high regards. There's a lot of Fields medalists there, and then so those were quite difficult experiences that I had to encounter. My first time being in the UK was actually in London. So I moved to Department of Earth Science. So I, for a while, considered myself a geologist. And then gradually moving back to hardcore engineering and now in chemical engineering. So you see, what I want you to derive from that little short abridged experience in my life is such interdisciplinary portfolio is actually appreciated in the UK. And in Indonesia, things like that, not that it's not appreciated, it's not commonly known in Indonesia as a feasible career route, especially for those aspiring to be an academic in the future. Now, those are the kind of genuine life story and the lessons you learn from that life story that I would imagine Chevenings would like to hear, some authenticity in that. Now, in my own case, that interdisciplinary portfolio allows me to look at crucial problems that are inherently interdisciplinary from a wide range of angles. So a mathematician can look at, for example, geological problems from mathematical point of view. They will look at it as a set of partial differential equations. They will look at it as a stochastic process, for example. An engineer would look at it from the feasibility of financing it, for example, perhaps from the environmental effects if it were adverse. And a physicist probably can look at, or a chemist, in fact, could look at chemical reactions that are inaccessible to mathematicians. It's very difficult to model chemical reactions mathematically, you know. So all of those very detailed, unique lessons that you derive from your experience is something that I would imagine Chevening would highly appreciate. Now, another thing is the desire to want to build the country upon finishing your degree in the UK. Now, I would like to talk to you a little bit about what Nottingham had done so far, although it is from the lens of an academic like myself. So don't expect yourself to be able to do exactly the same impact, although do expect yourself to do a lot bigger impact than me, okay? So I'm going to share a little bit here. I think I might be able to find it. Okay, maybe this. Okay, so that's a little bit about University of Nottingham in Indonesia. So aside of being an academic, I'm also spearheading the University of Nottingham's so-called Indonesia Global Engagement Strategy. Oh, hello, Mbak Dini. Just saw you. Oh, it's been a while. So, okay, good to see you again. So Nottingham is one of the few UK universities that had signed legal partnership documents with not only central government agencies like ministries, but also provincial governments. And this includes West Java governments, Jakarta, and West Nusa Tenggara. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have done so far. Some of these faces probably look familiar to you. These are visits, both outbound and inbound, by university staffs and by Indonesian governments. So you could see the previous governor of West Java, some university heads from ITS and others, our vice chancellors, the head of BPJS, Pak Ali Gufron Mukti was there. And the top right figure is us in West Java Gedung Sate. Pak Bambang Brojonegoro there, and rectors of IPB, Pak Arif Satria, rectors of ITB, governor and vice governors of West Nusa Tenggara, and vice governors of East Java. These are not just a showcase of how well traveled we are. These are a showcase of how much we think of Indonesian problems as interesting problems worth thinking about from researchers' point of view. So University of Nottingham is a comprehensive university, which means it has most of disciplines that you would think a university could have, maybe apart from dentistry, I would say, and maybe a little bit about marine ecology because we're not bordering any seashores. Okay. Now, naturally, when we look at the country like Indonesia, which is a very gigantic archipelago, and it's rich with biodiversity, it's rich with social problems, with climate change problem, pandemic problems that are not encountered in the UK, we look at the ways to solve this interdisciplinarily. But that only goes so far without engaging local stakeholders. And then so we want to move forward in order to translate our research into impact by engaging these entities. And one thing we realized quite early on, and also because I'm an Indonesian, is that naturally research is not just the domain of central government. Research actually is also, or should be, within the domain or purview of provincial governments. Most of the times we think of research as being a sole responsibility of Ministry of Pendidikan Tinggi, Riset, Science and Technology. But actually, we realized early on that every areas in Indonesia, they are unique, and then they have their own sets of problems, but they also have their own strength that we have to work with. Okay, so we do all of those engagements, and then we create the infrastructures to allow researchers to work together. So, like myself, there are about 35 or 40 Indonesian academic diaspora which has permanent positions, and they occupy high-ranking universities in the UK and had grown their influence considerably within their institutions so as to be able to allow our institutions to create a consortium. So Nottingham, Coventry, Warwick University, at the vice chancellor level or at the rector level, we started to engage with ITB, UI, UGM, and IPB. Okay, and then we made this consortium called the UKCHIS. The consortium is the first of its kind, and then it allows staffs and students to work together within this boundary of a consortium as if there were no geographical borders. And then we tried to fund research within this consortium by engaging institutions like LPDP, for example. And then there are some research that were published from this funding. And then, short enough, our endeavor got featured in the UK-Indonesia Partnership Roadmap. So this is a legal document, a governmental dossier signed by UK Foreign Minister and their Indonesian counterpart, which is at the time Ibu Retno Marsudi. So the whole point of this slide is to let you know that conducting research between institutions in two countries actually can spearhead bilateral collaborations between the two countries. So soon enough, we realized that by doing this research, actually you can bring the two countries together, UK and Indonesia. And that's something that we didn't realize before, because eventually any geopolitical issues or international problems, they are research inherently. They are research problem inherently. When you look at pandemic, which is a significant geopolitical problems, they are research in nature. They are interdisciplinary research. When you look at pandemic, when you look at climate change, when you look at even social problems like human slavery or human trafficking, these are both diplomatic problems, foreign policy problems, as much as they are research problem. So you could do that too. And then being at Nottingham, and hopefully through the scholarship provided by Chevening, allows you to access that high impact bilateral problems and the solutions that might be relevant to your country. And I would expect you to surpass this type of impact and make real problems by building something real in Indonesia. So that's, I think, what I believe that the infrastructure at Nottingham would allow you to do. And this is a little technical about the funding of research that were funded by LPDP for spurring research collaborations between Indonesian universities and the UK. You can see that these are all very highly interdisciplinary. The title doesn't say that this is a mechanical engineering problem. It's not an economical problem, but it's a green economy problem. It's a blue economy problem. It's a digital tech, and it calls on and it draws on expertise from multi-institutions. And we're very proud of this. So I'm not going to dwell too much on this because you can look at it from the ministry website about the UKCHIS. Now, another thing that I want to share with you is that growingly, we started to involve the public that is not within the university walls. For example, some of you might have heard about our endeavor through the podcast that we built. It's called The Chronicles. The idea of that podcast is to allow greater public that are not exposed to research issues to look at them and to be interested in them and to be inspired by them and to be able to see Indonesia through a different lens. Now, I'm segueing from my role as a university academic now and starting to put an Indonesian hat. And I believe that this is something that probably be appreciated in your essay in Chevening. The kind of dreams that are genuine and unique and draws on experience from the UK that you can imagine to be implemented when you get the opportunity and realistic in its achievement. It is also related to your background. It's relevant to your strength or even weaknesses. So those are the things that I think I would like to explain to you through my own experience now. So research has never become the currency of Indonesian diplomacy. And that is very clear. You could look at the strength of the country's soft power, by many metrics. One of those metrics include research strength and how much a country is known for its research prowess. Unfortunately, when stacked against other countries, Indonesia is not mostly known for its research prowess. and that's unfortunate. And this is something that I think can be changed, but it cannot be changed arbitrarily. You cannot just one day go up to the public, international public, and say, well, Indonesia is the laboratory of the world, or Indonesia is where you would find answers to most of challenging 21st century problems. You cannot just do that without research bona fide. And that's the thing. Because soon enough, when you don't back your statements by evidence, people can see through your lies very quickly. And then so I think it's important, along with other friends that we engage in Indonesia, to start to go straight to the public and make this podcast and then use it as a platform to allow academics to be heard. And then so we involve linguists, historians, engineers, or even cultural icons to speak about Indonesia in the ways that people have never heard about it before. And I learned a lot about it. And then I learned that apparently Yogyakarta is a very significant site that can be seen as one of the birthplaces of modern earth science that earlier in the presentation I said I enjoyed in Imperial College in London. When I walk through the aisles of Imperial College, I look at the stones, the sandstones, the carbonate stones, limestones that are gathered from all across the world. And then I see some of the volcanic rocks from Indonesia. In fact, Gunung Merapi and other similar sites in Indonesia were one of the first sites that were studied by naturalists from the UK included back in the 18th, 19th century, and from which about more than 7,000 research were derived, and the world understand about the earth crust and volcanology from Indonesia. However, that narrative has never been part of our diplomatic strength. This is something that I am called to be able to make a difference within. And another thing about other disciplines include jurisprudence. You see, the world understands about natural law being quintessentially British and civil law being quintessentially French or even continental Europe, right? It's a Napoleon Code. And Indonesia derived its legal system from the Dutch, who derived its legal system from the French. And these are very different family of legal system. And then we see some legal problems in Indonesia that makes us think about if there's any weakness in our own system. How come our legal system do not seem to work very well with our own people, anthropologically speaking or socially speaking? This is something that is perplexing, not in my domain, perhaps in some of you who are listening here from relevant backgrounds. And then I started to look at the old manuscripts of Sundanese culture and then found articles like Sanghyang Siksa Kandang Karsian. And I spoke in this podcast with a very well-known linguist who are doing his PhD in this field and then trying to see that the old Sundanese actually have a proto-jurisprudence that is quite sophisticated. Unlike what we understand right now as Indonesian legal system, where the statutes or written law is placed at the very top, the Sundanese puts it at the very bottom. It could be overthrown by agreements between two parties, by elders, by public outcry, which I think Indonesia is now suffering from the last couple of weeks, I believe, and eventually by verbal court. You see? Now, I'm not saying that we could just topple our legal system and then replace it anew with whatever we see as a romanticization of the Orients. But it's worth thinking whether or not we actually have some key ingredients for our own legal system. That's just an example. When you're looking at other fields, for example, when you're looking at, let's say, landslide susceptibility, when you're looking at geomorphology, the Chinese culture, they probably have what's so-called feng shui. And this is the kind of rule of thumbs or guidelines that you would resort to when you want to build buildings, right? The Chinese cultivated that very well. There are Nobel Prize winners from China who win Nobel Prize in a secular field like medicine, by looking at traditional Chinese herbs, Professor Tu Yu, for example. The reason I brought that into the discussion is because there are clear examples how a Chinese scientist were able to cultivate its own ancestral wisdom and make it applicable to solving real problems for which she got a Nobel Prize. What I'm trying to say is there might be a chance in your Chevening essay, for example, where you could demonstrate your understanding of how what you're going to study in the UK could truly make a difference globally on behalf of Indonesia, making use of Indonesia's genuine strength. That's my point. Now, all of these things has to be unique to you. It has to be relevant to Indonesia, and it has to make sense. You cannot expect to make a difference in some unrelated field to what you're going to study in the UK. Now, I'm going to close it with this. Unfortunately, now we live in the age of artificial intelligence. So it's very quick to outsource thinking to AI, me included. So when I write essays or when I write business proposals, I would just like ask AI in the first place, right? But what AI cannot replace, I think, which I learned from my own practice as an academic and as a lecturer, is that it cannot yet be relied on to write a genuine story based on empathy. It cannot empathize. That's what I'm saying. So, for example, if you quiz AI or ChatGPT, Gemini, or anything, what's capitalism? What's socialism? Or what's the work of Jacques Derrida and others? It can come up with that answer very quickly. If you ask the relevance of that worldview in today's life, it can answer that very quickly. And it can answer very, very difficult problems very quickly. I could replicate the thousands of lines of coding that I did throughout 4 years of my PhD in a fraction of 2 minutes with ChatGPT. It makes you wonder why you should do PhD at all. However, if you want to ask AI, what would Bagus think about capitalism as a minority who grew up in Indonesia around 1998 with a less than affluent background, migrating to France, Taiwan, and in the UK, what would Bagus think about that? That AI cannot answer. And that's the kind of thing that has to be reflected upon in your essay. It's that kind of authenticity. Okay. And then AI cannot understand morality and the nuances. You see, it cannot understand yet what it means for Indonesian to do these things that you aspire to do. And I believe that if I were a Chevening assessor of those essay, I would look at these stories. Okay. And I would urge you not to focus too much on fancy words. I'm urging you not too much focusing on artificially big words and unnecessary. I want you to focus on clarity of thoughts. And the reason why sometimes it is very difficult to write a convincing essay is practically because there is no difference between writing and thinking, essentially speaking. It is very difficult to make essay whereby when people look at it, they want to read the third sentence after they've read the first two sentences, if you know what I mean. You see, to make an engaging essay, you want people to look at your first two sentences and then they would be hooked by it. And then they want to read the third sentence and then the fourth and so on. It's very difficult to do that. And I learned anecdotally through reading students' emails that got sent to me and compare those sent by Indonesian students, by Iranian, by the Chinese and others. Unfortunately, now I'm using Indonesian hat. There is very less emphasis in Indonesia throughout the formal education system. that I went through myself on language, on writing. Now, the UK, however, has this rich liberal arts culture. The first thing that they do in liberal arts is not mathematics, chemistry, physics, or even engineering. It studies the trivium. So, culturally speaking, they put heavy emphasis on rhetorics, on grammar, and on logic. Now, although that's at the university level, the culture sort of seeps into lower tier formal education system. So my children they're watching Harry Potter at the moment. They get exposed to that kind of logical thinking, grammatical thinking, and rhetoric, the way that I think I wasn't exposed to when I did my study in Indonesia. That is very difficult to understand because you didn't grow up in the UK, but that's what they're looking for, I believe, you see. So focus on the thinking. Do not focus on the expensive words. Focus on how it makes sense. Focus on how it is doable and feasible, and focus on the linkage between those experiences and the big dreams, and demonstrate that you actually have a plan. And all of this is going to be susah-susah gampang. So I think I would like to close my presentation. I hope I don't go ahead of time, and perhaps there's one or two questions before I have to leave very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Bagus. But before I let you go, I think we do have a question specifically for you in the chat from Miss Uti. Yeah, it's quite a long question here from Miss Uti. Miss Uti,
okay.
yeah, if you would, maybe Miss Uti, you would like to come in and ask your question in person to Professor Bagus.
Okay.
Alrighty, if you're not coming in, Professor Bagus, perhaps you can help Miss Uti with her question, please.
Right. Okay, I'm looking at her questions. I would like to ask you for your insight regarding Chevening. Yes, okay. So the project is not yet finished, even though the final results are not yet available. Should I focus on another experience that already has clear results? Okay. Now, you have to understand that the expectation. Oops, sorry, I hear echo here. I don't know from where. So I think you have to understand that nobody is expecting you to already change the world at this stage in your life. Okay, I understand that probably you would be thinking that, oh, I'm a bachelor student. I'm about to finish my study. I'm about to do master in the UK. And in order to get me a Chevening scholarship, I have to demonstrate that I have already changed the world in one way or another. I don't think that's the expectation here. So if that's what you mean by not yet having results, I urge you to not be too worried about that. Although that would be a strong point if you have results, obviously. There's no denying. But one that you could perhaps demonstrate is how far or how close you are from achieving that result, how feasible that result is, the methodology that you're using to achieve those results. Those are going to play into the whole narrative about how you are worthy of that scholarship. It's the thinking that is necessary, not the results per se. Of course, the result is important because it shows that you are a consistent person, that you are a reliable person that will play into the whole narrative strong. But nobody is expecting you to already become Martin Luther Jr. or something, at this age right now. I would like to close this a little dogmatically like this. When I was at your age, looking upon the future as a fourth year student in ITB, my GPA was 2.69. I cannot imagine anybody in Indonesia having a GPA lower than that and still expecting to get a job. So I am by no means a standout student, never was. And I never had the experience of getting scholarship. I went to Taiwan while working part-time. I was selling pumps and trying to get commissions out of every pumps that I sell to fund my studies. That is not what's actually looked for. Okay, so I would like to close it with that to give other opportunities for other questioner, please.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor Bagus. Actually, the last question is also meant for you from Alda Wino Anugrah or Mas Wino ya ini mungkin. So I think I'll hand it over to you again, Professor Bagus, while we have you here.
Siap. Mas Wino do you wanna deliver your questions verbally or do you want me to read it out? Alda Wino kan yang ini. I'm an expert in maritime affairs. You are an expert in maritime affairs. Oh my God. I like that. I like that. That's very strong. That's not shying away from what you are. I like that opening. I'm currently a 7th semester student officer at Semarang Maritime Polytechnic. Great. I'll graduate next year with a diploma 4 D4 ya. My question is, when is the best time to apply for the Chevening scholarship? Okay. I believe the maritime sector and majors in Indonesia have great potential and I'd like to learn directly from the Center of Maritime Education that means in London. Thank you. Now, on technical questions regarding when the best time to apply for Chevening, I don't know that. I think the Chevening knows best about that. Unless you're talking about, unless you're talking about when is the best in terms of qualitative best, not like as in meeting the deadlines or something. I don't know which one you mean. So, but if it is in regards to meeting the deadlines, perhaps Chevening can answer better. Mbak Foni, would you like to take on that?
Sure, certainly. So yes, if you do mean when can I start applying for Chevening, because the new requirement for Chevening requires you to have minimum 2 years work experience after graduation. So that's when you can be eligible to apply for Chevening. So as of now, because you are still expecting to graduate next year, you are still not eligible to apply this year. Yeah, next year when you graduate, you still need to have minimum 2 years work experience. Then you will be eligible to apply for the Chevening. I hope that answers your questions, yeah, Mas Wino, if that's clear. Thank you.
Yeah, if the question is about when after 2 years should I apply, well, that's another problem. Okay, well, that's I guess the most simple answer I can say is probably when you're ready to apply, I guess, because the rationale behind applying during the 3rd year after your graduation has to be compatible with the whole narrative of your essay. You cannot look as if you're applying for Chevening because there are no other options and Chevening is your last resort. It has to be coherent with why you're applying at that certain stage. Now, I cannot tell you when exactly to apply. Probably during your 3rd year in your professional life or maybe the 4th year. But whatever it is, what I'm very sure of, it cannot be because you find a point in your life where you have nowhere to go and you decide Chevening may be a cop-out way. So.
Thank you. I think we should move on now. There is just one last question here from Raisa about the mandatory use of task method. I think you meant STAR method. And who assess the essay? Is it okay? So just quickly to answer this, is the STAR method is one of the methods that we recommend. However, you do not absolutely have to use this. What we are looking for in the essay is that you are giving us a specific example to demonstrate your leadership capacity or your leadership potential. But I think the next session after this with our alumni will talk in more details about this method that you can use in terms of writing your best essay for Chevening. And who assess the essay? So in the first instance, all applications will be read by an independent reading committee which is based in the UK. And then afterwards, they will create a long list, which will be given to us here at the British Embassy in Jakarta. And afterwards, we will create the shortlist for those who will proceed to the second stage of selection, which is the interview stage. Yeah. So at the first instance, we do not read your application. So please remember that the independent reading committee in the UK, they need also to understand the context. So please make sure that you put in the context and the background for the Indonesian or the Timor-Leste context, so they would understand your essay as well. And the last thing about GPA, yes, we do not have a strict requirement for minimum GPA to apply for Chevening, but so what matters to us is that you are demonstrating to us that you have the capacity and the potential to make contribution afterwards. Yeah. So I think with that, we should move on now to the next session. Thank you very much again, Professor Bagus,
Thank you.
for your session. Thank you. The
Thank
next
you.
session
See you
is...
guys soon.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye. The next session is the alumni sharing sessions, which will be moderated by my colleague, Kak Raras. Ya, Raras, are you here?
I am. Yes.
Great to hear. Please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. So hi everyone. Good morning. Well, good morning UK time and good afternoon from Jakarta. It's very nice to see everyone's here joining us online, not just in Zoom, but also from YouTube as well. And I specifically want to say hi from those who joining in from Timor-Leste, from Jayapura, Sorong, Semarang, Banyuwangi, I saw some of the more Denpasar, Jakarta, I think, yeah, Bandung, Tangerang, Banyuwangi, etc. Yeah, so yeah, like there's a lot of you, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Saturday afternoon with us, trying to get to know even more about Chevening scholarships. I know that there's some people raising their hands, and if it's okay, please lower your hand now, as we are going to a new session, which is alumni sharing sessions, and we will be having another session for Q&A later on. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, perhaps I'll introduce myself first. My name is Raras. I'm part of the British Embassy Jakarta, same as Mbak Foni and Harry as well, and we also have another colleague, Mbak Puspita. My role is actually in the network and alumni office as a network and alumni officer, basically managing the relationship with the Chevening scholars, or we call it Cheveners. And actually, we do have two of Chevening scholars coming from Indonesia and also Timor-Leste joining us today from the UK, actually, where they studied right now. And they'll be sharing their experience and tips with us, especially on writing essay about their study course, their university choice, and also the big question is, why UK? Why has to travel so far away from your homeland to the UK to study this master degree? And we'll be hearing from them. But yeah, perhaps I'd like to introduce them first. So the first one is Mbak Ahyar Dini Zakia from Indonesia. Hello, Kak Dini.
Hello, Mbak Raras. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming and spending your Saturday afternoon with us today.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining very early in the morning. Just a little bit about Kak Dini. Kak Dini studied her master's degree in public health at the University of Nottingham back in 2021-2022. And now she actually returned to the UK and doing her PhD year at the I would say, at the University of Manchester. Correct? Right, Kak Dini? Yes.
Yeah, but the major is in medical education, actually. It's not public health.
Oh, very sorry about that. I'll revise that. Thank you so much for the correction. And we also have another Chevener coming from Timor-Leste. This is Mana Berta Antonieta Tillman Pereira. And she studied at SOAS, University of London, taking Master of Science in Global Development. And she just finished her dissertation, which is like a final assignment, to to finish the to basically finish the master degree and now awaiting for her graduation. So let's congratulate her on the chat. Let's give like positive vibe, like congrats Berta, you did it. Hi Berta.
Halo, halo Mbak Raras. Thank you so much. So yes, as Mbak Raras said, I'm packing now, finalizing everything. So looking forward to answer your questions and helping each other today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mana Berta. Right, so before we get into the main session, I'd like to start with some icebreaker questions for our speakers, Kak Dini and Mana Berta, just for the audience to get to know you better. So Mana Berta and Kak Dini, if you had to describe your UK study journey in just 1 or 2 words, what would that be? Perhaps start with Kak Dini.
I think it's life-saving.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I need to know a little bit more about that, but yeah, Mana Berta, what's your 1 or 2 words?
For me, it's freedom of thoughts.
That's really nice. And perhaps we will be hearing more about why those 2 words through your presentation. So yeah, we've asked each of the speakers to take about 15 minutes to share their journey in choosing their course, what motivated them to make their decision on the study course, and also why the UK, and how their studies connect with the bigger global challenges that they care and work at. So we'll start with Kak Dini, and then we'll hear later on from Mana Berta. Kak Dini, please take it away.
Thank you, Mbak Raras. I'm sharing my presentation now. Can you all see it? Yeah, so this is the title of like every major webinar that I've been the presenter of for the past year. So pave your way to United Kingdom with Chevening Scholarship, because this is what Chevening is. I think it's giving us the opportunity to make our life better by studying in the United Kingdom. My name is Ayarine Zakia. People can call me Dini. I'm a Chevening scholar from the 21-22 cohort. So it's been a while. But because I love this country too much, I decided to return to the UK to pursue my PhD in Manchester this January. So I'm still in the UK. It doesn't mean I didn't honor my promise to Chevening. Yeah, I returned for 2 years before I pursued my PhD, just to make it clear. Anyway, before applying for Chevening, Chevening has this phrase written in their website, and it says, do your homework. So please do it. Please listen to Chevening. Please read how to make your essay. They've already say what they want to hear from you. They've already said about the application timeline and everything, so you can find all of the information on the Chevening website. However, there's something else that you need to do in order to make sure that you choose the best course for your future, and that is talk with the alumni. Before joining Nottingham as a master student, I had a few choices that I want to pursue too, and those are the University of Dundee and the Cardiff University. However, before applying for those universities, I decided to talk with the alumni. I found him on LinkedIn. I connected with him and we talked about what kind of future that I wanted, and then what is the best avenue to pursue those careers. And he advised me to go to Nottingham instead. And it was the best decision of my life, because when I chose Nottingham, Nottingham also chose me. I'm actually a Chevening partner scholar. So it means that my Chevening journey will not be possible if Nottingham wasn't my first choice of university. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, Nottingham. And so this is what I will give as an advice for the Chevening aspirants in Indonesia. Go talk with the alumni. Ask them about the academic atmosphere, about the facilities, about the curriculum. Ask them whether this would be the right avenue for you to pursue for your future. And then afterwards, you can decide. So don't only read from the websites, because you may not get the whole picture, but speak with the alumni. So most importantly, you need to ask them about the modules, the lecturers, the facilities, and the campus reputation on the specific field that you want to pursue afterwards. And I think that's it about the essay. And I'm going to use this opportunity to like give you a glimpse about how my life was in the UK when I was pursuing my master. So before getting selected for a Chevening scholarship, I was a lecturer. I was just a lecturer without a master degree, which is an extraordinary feat, but not in a good way, because that means I cannot do certain things. Because the administration said that you need to have a master degree to be able to teach. So I was facing challenges in order to do my work. So getting a master degree is very important for me at that time. And I really wanted to become a lecturer afterwards. So like my career of choice is being a lecturer again after doing my master degree, because I started as a lecturer, but with a career advancement. And then I heard about Chevening from my friend who got selected, but due to certain circumstances, he couldn't go to UK. So he told me about the scholarship, I applied, and thankfully I got accepted. And why I said it was life-saving, because I applied Chevening when I was just diagnosed with a clinical depression. My medication at that time cost me a third of my salary. So I was on the brink of not being able to afford those medications. And then I got accepted by Chevening. I went to the UK, and in the UK, due to the NHS, I only pay a fraction for my medication. And the whole experience, meeting new people, being able to study, being accepted into a bigger community, it really helped me to be able to survive. And by the end of my Chevening journey, my doctor said that I'm healed, if that's the word. So I did not have to take my medications again. So that's why I said my experience was not life-changing, it was life-saving. And in the UK, I met new people, I make friends. I went to Oxford, I went to so many cities because I was encouraged to go see the UK and then promote it on Instagram. I have it on paper, so my PO, the one who is like managing us in the UK, he said that I need to go out and then go see the world. And that's what I did with all of my friends. I met friends from all over the world. So Chevening is for the people from 100 more countries. So I met friends from there. And I also work part-time as the I think the word is Nottingham International Student Ambassador, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm promoting Nottingham to the people all over the world. But of course, not every good story also comes with its own struggle, right? Because I made like a questionable choice of my life before I came to the UK. I actually got accepted into a master program in Indonesia, and I love my friends there. I didn't want to lose them, so I decided to just do them both. So I'm studying online from like in the middle of the night until the morning for my master degree in Indonesia. And then like at 8 or 9 in the morning, I will go to the university and do my study in Nottingham, which now looking back is something that I wouldn't do if I could choose. But it was very rewarding. It was very nice to have friends from all over the world. And since I'm studying the same subjects from in the UK and in Indonesia, it's really nice to compare and combine all the knowledge and the skills that I obtained from these two courses. So it was really nice. I also became the head of Indonesian Students Association. And then I learned about the things that I want to learn. But I don't know if this is going to be motivational or not. The thing is, my score got so low, and this is quite demotivating at that time, because I thought I want to have a higher score. I want to be a model student in the UK. But the thing my supervisor told me at that time was that it doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. What matters is you learn something, you know what you want to do, you can apply this when you go back, and you enjoy your time here. That's what he said. And it was shocking. And also the next shocking thing that I found was I think my academic journey in Indonesia, the academic training, I'm a dentist, by the way, the academic training is highly dogmatic. We don't question our professors. We listen to them because we want to make sure that we're not endangering our patients. So whatever they say, we believe it as a fact, which is very dangerous, and we're not supposed to do that, but that's how it is in Indonesia. In the UK, my professor told me that I have to question him, and it was very shocking. I was like, I'm not used to question my teachers. I cannot question you because subconsciously I'm trained not to question you. And he was so confused with that. He was like, why don't you question me? Because I'm human. I may make mistakes. So you should question me. And those line of logical and critical thinking is something that I'm still struggling even until today, but I'm working so hard to like ensure that I'm being critical and logical while I'm doing my PhD now. So that's like the biggest life lesson that I learned from my study. And my life doesn't end there. So the journey doesn't stop when you go back home. I think that's one of the fear that many of the Chevening alumni face. What if my life has reached its peak when I'm being a Chevening scholar? What if when I come back, my life will go back to its former gloomy self with its own challenges and hurdles? But the thing is, it won't. We are a Chevening scholar, and we are a scholar for life. Our time in the UK might only be just for a year. But life doesn't end there. So what did I do when I come back? So I graduated from Nottingham, thankfully, and then I also graduated from my second master, and I got a job in the place that I really want to be. And this is actually one of the middle career goal that I put in my Chevening essay. And in my story, I plan to achieve it after like 5 to 10 years after I graduated. And I got it in just a year. Alhamdulillah. So a year after I graduated from Nottingham, I got accepted at the position level that I really wanted, and I put in my Chevening essay. So that's a good thing. And then afterwards, I tell people about Chevening scholarships. I do webinars, I talk, I met with people, I help them. And also with other Chevening scholars from Indonesia, we created this initiative with the help of the Chevening alumni. No, it's not Chevening alumni fund. Yeah, but that's a fund. I kind of forgot, but there's a fund for us to create a movement, and it is initiated by one of my close friends. It's Dr. Jenny. And we created the Chevening for Healthier Indonesia. We campaign about transplants, and we do the social mission in which we do consultations and dental examination. And with the broader Chevening alumni, we also conducted seminars to help prepare the Indonesian scholars who are about to go to the UK for the Chevening journey. And I think one of the key takeaway from that, and this is the word that I get from an account in Malaysia. So the language is in Bahasa Melayu, but the thing is, what I want to say, if you really want something, you'll find ways to achieve it. But if you still have reasons to not do it, that means that you don't want it hard enough. So for Chevening, if you really want to do it, make sure that you don't make excuses for yourself and just do it. Read the website, write the essay, apply, and then let the rest show up afterwards. So I think that's all I can say from me. Good luck on your scholarship journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kadini. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing the stories. And that was really nice. You kind of cover almost everything really on, everybody always, sometimes I met a lot of potential candidates asking like, oh yeah, but Chevening alumni looks already firm with their career, firm with their study
Yeah.
plan, etc. No, they're not. Like they all studying the same as everyone really. Like they don't know
Yes.
if their course choices the right one for them. They don't know, what's available in the UK, something like that, and they don't even know, what they can do. Again, talking about leadership, influence, and networking. But at the moment, on this webinar, we talk about the choosing course. So yeah, like even like talking about choosing course itself, like, is this the right one or not? Is this something that I thought maybe I just needed because current trends saying that I need to do this, but actually we need to think about 5, 10, 15 years ahead, something like that. So thank you so much, Kadini, for sharing the stories, also with the struggle as well. Yeah, it seems like what you said in the beginning is not just life changing, but it's a life saving. So thank you for sharing that. And now, before we start with the Q&A questions with the audience, we also have Mana Berta to share her experience on this. Mana Berta, I know, if I'm not mistaken, when you apply for Chevening, it was not like first try and then you got it, if I'm not mistaken. But do correct me if I'm mistaken on that. Mana Berta, please take it away. Let us hear your story.
Yeah. Obrigada, Mana Raras. Obrigada, Mana Dini. Thank you. So as I didn't prepare a presentation, I'm sorry. I just finished my dissertation, so apologize for that. I hope we can just have a conversation. Mana Raras was right. I tried, I think, 3 or 4 times, if I don't, I tried 3 or 4 times for Chevening. So this is why I would like to tell friends here that if you try first time that you didn't go through, you can try the second time and the third time. Because I think I agree with Kadine, yeah? Like if you first you try and you didn't get it, probably you're not ready yet, or you're not passionate enough in your topic yet. So we go back and try to do more work. So yes, and I also, while I was trying, I was working. So it's very also important to have a work experience a little bit to know the field, and to know, it's very important to know your field before you choosing universities. That is one thing that really making us stand out as international students. For example, some students, they just jump from S1, from undergrad right away to master degree. They didn't have work experience, which is why I appreciate what Chevening has done, that minimum you need to have at least 2 years of experience before applying for this scholarship. So if you try this time that didn't go through, please try other times until the 4th or the 3rd or the 4th times. Maybe you get it, like me.
Thank
So,
you.
Jangan patah semangat ya.
Luar
Don't
biasa.
lose your spirit. So in finding university, at first I was a bit worried. I was like, okay, will I actually like London, or will I, how is that will fit into my characteristic, or am I it's quite simple. Some people really aim high, and some people quite just relax, yeah. But I did choose several universities, LSE, SOAS, and at that time Sussex, and then I get accepted to LSE and SOAS, but then also I really need to study myself again, or which one will align with my characteristic better, and in the end I chose SOAS. So it doesn't really matter the ranking. I think some people in the UK, I think I would like to talk about this, which may be different from Asian culture. People don't really see university rank. People are quite laid back. If you so don't really from my experience, from people who have applied for universities in the UK, everyone aimed for like universities with big names. But my advice is you all don't have to go there because in a smaller university, or in a much more intimate university, the professors, oh, sorry.
Whereas I think Berta is experiencing
It's a
fire
fire alarm.
alarm. Are you okay?
Oh,
Perhaps is it
okay.
best if you want to check and move to safer environment first,
Yeah.
Mana Berta?
Is it a drill or is it a real thing? Because sometimes it's a drill.
Oh, you're on mute. Yeah, I think Mana Berta is listening to what's the caution would be, and I think Mana Berta is experiencing some fire alarm caution, and it will be best for her to move to safer environment before continue. So let's pray for Mana Berta to be in a safe environment, and we'll probably hear later from Mana Berta, but if not, I think it's okay. We can continue with Kak Dini first, while we wait for Mana Berta to go to a safer place. Kak Dini, so perhaps just a little bit more on your experience, applying for to study in the UK. You mentioned before you you're already a teacher, you're already a lecturer was it in the university, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, it's a state-owned university in Sumatra.
Luar biasa. I think there are a lot of us are already it working or like having a career. So like Mana Berta said, it's not like jumping from undergraduate degree, like in a school study mode and then moving on to like another study mode. It's actually we already passed that study mode, and then now moving on to career. But now going back to like study mode, it's strange. It's anxiety. It's like, oh, can I do that again? And will I do that again? Will I find myself comfort or convenient in going through that study phase again? And also now we're talking about global challenge. I think this new generation, or like our generation now, are experiencing such a very fast-paced movement of changing sectors. Like I remember back in the days, people say like, oh, if you want to have a good career, you have to be a lawyer or a doctor or I don't know, politician. But now it's moving. Like if you ask younger generation, they will say like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be influencers. So that's another question. So perhaps my question for you now, many of our audience today are maybe still wondering if they made the right choice of course, relevant to their study before or relevant to their career right now. And perhaps can you tell us how did you decide on your course based on like what kind of factors help you choose the program that best fit your goals, especially now connecting to your future plans?
Okay, thank you, Mbak Raras, for the question. I think that's the beauty of a Chevening essay, isn't it? So we kind of see it as one of, so question 1, 2, 3, and 4, but it's actually interconnected with each other. And I think if we start from the first essay, we will be very confused when it comes to the third and fourth essay. So what I tell everyone is start with your career plan. Always start with your career plan because it's like determining where you want to go before choosing the mode of transportation. Choosing your study course is like determining what kind of mode of transportation that you want to take to get to your goal. So you need to determine your goal first. And in my life, I've always wanted to become a lecturer. There's like no other choices. Whatever I became in the future, I want to teach people because I love being close to people and then helping them achieve their goal. But I'm a dentist, and as a lecturer in dentistry, we're not equipped with the pedagogy. We're so adept in dentistry. We can extract the tooth, we can fill it, we can make prosthesis, but we don't know how to teach, and it's very concerning because when we don't know how to teach the next generation to become a dentist, eventually their knowledge and skill will diminish, and eventually we will not get competent dentists anymore. And it's a bad precedent for Indonesia. So I asked myself, where do I see myself in like 20 years after I graduated from my master degree? And I see myself as the dean of a dental faculty and head of the dean organization. So in dentistry, we have a dean organization. I want to be there. In order to get it, I need to be the dean. And if I want to be a dean, I need to have qualifications. And I saw that at that time, nobody in the dean age has this master degree. So a master in medical education, nobody has it. But it teaches us the basic pedagogy. It teaches us how to make curriculum, how to assess. So that's what I need. I know I need that, even though nobody has it. And it created a demand for that. And I see that as a way for me to choose the course. And so I chose it. But the next question is, where will I take the course? Because there are so many options. In Indonesia, there's only 2 universities offering the course at that time, one in UI and the other one is in UGM. In the UK, there's so many. So I started researching. I found out about this experts. So we have an expert in the medical field, and his name is Professor Ronald Harden, and he teaches in Dundee. And that's why I want to apply to Dundee. And then I found out in Nottingham they offer us a fellowship, and also they have this simulation facility that's I think is the best. And then another one is in Cardiff, because I have a lecturer who has the master degree, a master in medical education, and he graduated from Cardiff. So that's how I found out about the courses. And then I make a priority table because that's what. And the criteria are, first is the module, second one is the teachers or the professor, the third one is the facilities, and the fourth one is the city. Why the city is important? Because I came from Cikarang. I'm a Cikarang girl. Anybody here from Bekasi, Cikarang?
I think I saw one.
Yeah, you kind of get the idea of how the city is, right? There are way too many people. And even though I'm a dentist, I don't really like people. So if I live in a city like London, like Manchester, yeah, I'm here now. But yeah, if you live in a city like Leeds, Manchester, London, I would feel very stressed out because I don't really like seeing people. So that's why I chose Cardiff, because it's in Wales. I will see more sheep than people. And then Nottingham, I'll see more trees than people. And then the last one is in Dundee, still more greenery than people. So I make a priority table, I fill out the numbers, and it lead me to Dundee. But then I talked with an alumni, and he said, I actually went to Nottingham. I applied to Dundee, but I actually went to Nottingham. And we talked, and then he said there are newly built facilities that I can use for my study, and I ended up choosing Nottingham. And I think that's how the universe worked to help me, because at that time, when I got the Chevening scholarship, like a week before I got the Chevening scholarship, I got an email from Dundee saying that due to COVID-19, they are closing the course just for that year. So if I choose Dundee, not only will I not get Chevening, I will also not be able to study in that year. So thankfully, I chose Nottingham, went to Nottingham, did all the wonderful things, met all the wonderful people. And then when I come back, started I got the job that I wanted. And the alumni from Nottingham that had the discussion with me was also appointed as the course director at another university. So I'm really following in his footsteps, and now we're colleagues. So it's really nice for our professional development. So I think always start. So the main point is, sorry for talking too long. Always start with determining what you want to be in 20 years, and then take a step back. If you want to achieve that, where you should be in 10 years, and to achieve that, what you should be doing afterwards, and the people in the position that you wanted, what qualification do they have, where did they go to study? I think that if you can answer those questions, it will be better for you when you're determining your course choices.
Thank you so much, Kadini. I think that's really wonderful. I think for those who are still thinking about, how do I write my essay, and how do I kind of like start with the structure of the essay, especially on the choosing course. I think those 4 elements can also be considered. We also have Mana Berta already joining us today, and she already confirmed to me via WhatsApp that she's all right, she's fine. That's all we care about, Mana Berta, like your safety. Definitely. Yeah, it was a drill, isn't it? Fire drill exercise.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It always happens if you stay at a student accommodation in London. Every month there will be like 2 or 3 fire alarms, sometimes in the middle of the night. So yes, apologize for that. It's not my fault.
No worries, Mana
No, it's
Berta.
not.
So
Yes.
just to give you a little bit context, I just had a conversation with Dini asking about, what we talk about how did you choose your course at that time when you apply for Chevening, how to connect that with your future plans. So perhaps Kadini already mentioned a lot of good things, consider about the university itself, the modules, but also the city and the facilitation of the university that you are going to study at. And I think the non-academic part, which is the city itself, is part of like personal preference. So I think Prof. Bagus mentioned earlier about, in the UK, you don't have to think about the ranking. And at Chevening as well, we don't see, when you apply, like, you just put like University of Oxford, just thinking that the Chevening will pick you because of that. It's not like that. So you probably see on the website or during application, there's a Chevening partner university and Chevening non-partner university. You can choose whatever you like. As Mbak Foni mentioned in the very beginning about the Chevening presentation, choose any course at any UK university as long as it's master degree and it's 1-year course, obviously. You have the freedom to choose that. So my second question, perhaps for Mana Berta, is on the relevancy of the relevance of your course study, your course with global challenges. We talk about this world is changing almost every day. We had COVID, and that 2-3 years change a lot. Like now we have Zoom. Before I think we only have Skype or whatever it is, but now we connect even more through digital world. And so now talking about the global challenge, and especially now in Chevening essay, the question is actually said course choice and global challenge. So how Chevening asking or looking for developing leaders who can respond to today's global challenges. So in your experience, Mana Berta, how does your course connect to a wider issue facing Timor-Leste or Asia Pacific or even the world?
Yes. Big question, yeah, Mana. I need a PhD to answer that. But yes, I'll try to answer. But yes, when I started to apply for universities, I thought at the beginning that, I need to be an expert first. But no, but I think Chevening also find someone who is willing to learn, someone who's willing to be innovative. So be as innovative as you want in your essays. Also be authentic as well. And when you write your essays, don't just use the big words and then you try to sound authentic, but don't. Just speak from your heart, like really what you want to change from your small villages. What do you want to do an impact in, for example, Lombok or like in Dili or in Mobisi, like think local, but then you try to see how your courses actually will give an impact. Honestly, I didn't know what I will learn at that time. I was just putting all of my hope in the essay. This is what I want Timor to be in the next 10 years or 20 years. But then I didn't know what the courses will be like, right? How it will shape me. But then after I come to SOAS, I am SOAS University of London, it really opened my mind that we are very connected. We are very connected, not only Timor-Leste as a country, as an island, but also Indonesia, was Papua, Australia. We're very connected in this high past global capitalism. Manufacturing, import, export, and all of that, and that how those are actually impacted the politics as well. So what happened in Timor or what happened in Indonesia or like in a small village in Flores or in a small places in Lombok actually well connected to the whole global system. And that's what I learned in here. I learned here that of course, we are here to represent our country, but also we need to represent indigenous people. Me myself, I'm from Timor-Leste, but also as a citizen of the country. But then, when I position myself in the classroom, who I am, how is this economic system impacted me as a Timorese historically until now. Those are the things that I think really impacted a lot to really give me how to say it, reflection. Oh, I am not only my nationality, I am also someone who's a product of oppression, a product of historical systematic mobilization against me because I'm from a small place that maybe my land is gonna be grabbed soon. Maybe the people that I studied together or so sometimes when we go to class, we're not only going as a student, but also we bring our knowledge. Like also don't think if you ever come to if you finally successful, don't think also you come here also to learn so much, because sometimes British students also learn a lot from you. European students really learn a lot from you because of your identity, because of who you are. If you're a Muslim, you teach them a lot of things. If you're from indigenous places with your local practices, you also teach them a lot of things. So it's not only UK benefiting it, but it's not only us benefiting it as individual, but it's the process that actually we bring more knowledge, we bring more diversity to the UK environment as well. And it's a more of interconnected, intersharing knowledge with each other. Yeah, sorry, I think I talk more broadly, but yeah.
No, thank you, Mana Berta. I think it's really special, to have that kind of mindset that we're not going to the UK just to learn from them, but actually preparing ourselves to be some kind of like an ambassador of our own country and our own culture. With all the the conflicts and the problems and the issues that we have in our home country, bringing it to the UK and have kind of discussion there, and hoping that kind of like academic. Earlier we talked with I talked with Kadini about changing from changing from career mode, working mode to like back to study, like that's also a struggle. But you mentioned, Mana Berta, I think we need to have that kind of mindset that we go to the UK, yes, for study, but also to bring these issues to them and try to see, maybe other countries facing the same kind of challenge, and maybe they also already resolved that kind of issue, something like that. So that's really nice to hear, Mana Berta. And I think
Also, sorry.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I want to add, like, also if you, I learned a lot from also one from here, from Indonesia. Also, he studied in ITB before. He did computer science, and then he did he just finished global development. And then I asked him, like, why you changed from computer science to now studying political economy and global development? And he got the best mark. He got he's from ITB, he's from Indonesia, and he got one of the highest mark in my cohort. So you don't have to always stick with if you have a passion. I think if you have a passion to change, if you want to contribute to the bigger level, and if you were from like Exata,
Yeah.
background, don't close yourself only to that. Like it's 1 year, and if you want to learn more, you can also learn about politics. You can also learn about economics or something like that. And sometimes with your IPA background, with your science background, actually really help you to, like my friend, like he got one of the best mark, and his background is engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mana Berta and Kak Dini. So right now we will start taking questions from the audience. So feel free to share your questions on the chat, and we'll pick which ones that can fit in, especially within our time window, which is quite limited now. And I think the first question would be Mana Berta from Elvin Wardana. Halo Kak Elvin, thank you for the question. So Kak Elvin asked, Mana Berta, you mentioned that you applied to Chevening 3 or 4 times before being finally accepted. What changes or realignments did you make between your first and final applications, particularly in your essays? Mana Berta, would you like to take this question?
Yes, I think it's going back into 4 years. I don't know if I remember in details, but I think I practiced more on the interview. I practice more on the interview a lot. This is something that I think a lot of people focus on the essays, but they forgot to actually, for the interview, to practice. Because you can actually sound brilliant on your essays, but when people interview, your mind is scattered. And to help actually with the interview, you should practice with your friends or talk to Chevening alumni. So then it makes it clear. And yeah, I didn't really change a lot from my essays. It's still the same. I did practice for my interview. Before I didn't practice. I just write my essays, and then I'm like so self-confident. I just went to the interview without practice. But when you actually practice before you do interview, you're more structured, and your friends can act as a they can criticize you if you actually miss some points, which I think essays writing is good, and also you can be clear on your essays. But for your conversation to be more flowy, my tips is practice with your friends, practice with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your neighbors. Yeah.
Thank you, Mana. I think I'm just gonna give a little bit tips on this, on essay writing, also on the interview. I think it's all about storytelling. You really have to go back to yourself, asking yourself, why do I want to do this again? And from then on, you can kind of, the structure would be even flowy, like Mana Berta said. This is all about you. I think the essay and also the interview is pretty much as the committee selection just want to get to know you better. Who are this person? Who is this Mana Berta? Who is this Kak Dini? And they can tell, from the beginning, this is what I've done in the past in my academic and professional years. And now I feel like there's a skill gap that I need to fill in only. And I see this, the only way I can do this is through study in the UK, my master degree for 1 year, especially in this particular course and this particular university, because of, like Kak Dini already mentioned, maybe the facility of the university, maybe the professors, maybe the modules, maybe the cities. So those are the things that you need to include in your essay writing, especially on the course choice. And talking about the global challenge, Kak Dini and Mana Berta already mentioned a little bit, but also Prof. Bagus earlier mentioned quite a lot about, how to justify your choice, and thinking like a bigger picture. So hopefully that helps and that answers your questions. From Raisa to Kak Dini, what was the process when you made the essay? This is quite a lot of question mark, but pretty much what was the process that you made the essay? There's a lot of available guidance online, and how did you, navigate that kind of process? All right, I think we see. Yes, Kadini, perhaps you can answer on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so my process is I started by reading the website. So I think I was quite late into the chevening process because I didn't know when it started open. But at that time, I think I only had 6 weeks until the closing deadline. So during those 6 weeks, the first 4 weeks, I didn't write anything. I just read. So I read the websites, I read the Chevening scholars' experiences, what they wrote on the internet. I read, I opened LinkedIn, I found out about the Chevening experiences from all other countries, and that's what I did. And the thing is, I work full-time as a lecturer from 8 to 4, and then afterwards, as a dentist, I also practice. So I do this every night from 10 to 12 for 4 weeks. So I did that, read everything, and then noted down all the important things that I want to write in my essay next. And I think by the end of the week 4, I kind of had the idea about how I should write the essay. And I think I was quite privileged at that time because I already know what I want. Like no matter what people say, no matter the hindrances are, I already know that I want to become a lecturer. I know that there is a problem in dental education, and I know where I want to be in 20 years. I've already written that down from like years before. So when it's times for me to write my essay, I started with my 4th essay with my career plan, and then my course choices, and then my networking experience, and then my leadership experience. Did that in 1 week. And then on the last week, I asked my friend, she's not a Chevening scholar. She doesn't even, she hasn't pursued her master yet. But she is very good in English. And so she gave me some feedback, and then I revised it. And then I submitted that. And then I applied for my university and then just waited. So I think the process is, I think this is where most people go wrong with their application. They started with opening a Microsoft Word document. You should not start there. Open the internet or read the websites through, especially the FAQ section, and then read all the blogs because they will tell you what are the mistakes that previous applicants made from the previous year. They will tell you about the STAR method, the SMART method. It's all there in the Chevening website. And this is very weird because not many scholarship will tell you how to get it, but Chevening lay out the groundwork and tell you exactly what they want from you. So if you do that, then you write and then you revise. Hopefully, you will come with a stronger essay. So that's what I did.
Thank you so much. I think everyone's process is always different. There is some people, they start with their university application first, and then because some university allow them to defer it to the next year, so then they can just focus like 1 year only focus on securing the letter of acceptance from the university in the UK, and then the next year is looking for the funding. Or Kadini already mentioned in the beginning, it's whichever vehicle you choose to go to your goals basically, and hopefully Chevening and perhaps one of the UK universities, maybe University of Nottingham, can be part of your vehicle. Thank you so much, Kadini, for the answer. We have another question. So from Vira. Hello, Vira from Central Sulawesi. I want to ask questions to Kadini or Mana Berta. Her study background before was political science, international relations, and she plans to take master study in the UK, but for business entrepreneurship to support the culture and creative industry in her hometown. Where should she start to talk about in her essay? Thanks in advance. Perhaps Mana Berta would like to start first.
I just saw the second question. I will go for the second question.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Kadini. Talking about this, like which one is the first, like how do you navigate this? Like, okay, I have this passion, I have this interest, but I don't have the educational background for this. Which one should I choose, and how to put that on the essay?
Yes, and I think that's like the perfect reason why you should pursue your master, isn't it? If you already know everything, if you're already an expert in that field, then that means you don't need to do your master. You can just do what you want to do with your career. So please don't see it as disadvantages. Please see it as your advantages. It is an advantage for you to have a skill gap that you need to fill by pursuing a master in the UK. And to answer your question, please start with the problem. So start talking about the problem. What can be done to solve this problem, and then highlight about your current experiences, your current skills and knowledge, and highlight the skills gap that you need to fulfill by pursuing your master in a different field. And then start writing your course choices, and then write your immediate plan. I think sometimes I think I not only I think there is this inappropriate belief that we always have to choose a linearity for our study. You don't. Even working as a lecturer, you don't have to have the same major from your bachelor to your master to your PhD. You can do everything as long as you're doing it because you want to do something for the greater good of others, and you already want to do that. So just highlight the problem, the solution, the skills or knowledge gap, and then your course, and then your career. I think that's you can write in your chevening essay for that purpose.
Thank you,
Does that
Kadini.
answer the question?
Yeah. So the second question is from Tubagus Chiari. So hi Manberta, thank you for sharing your experience. Good. I asked what makes you choose SOAS Uni. I'm currently working on rural development project and are debating between choosing SOAS and Reading. Thank you.
Yes, I wish SOAS pay me for this, yeah. But yes, I'm not really sure about Reading. I can speak from SOAS lens. SOAS has very good post-colonial curriculum, and I'm not quite sure about the rural development, but I'm currently doing global development. But I can speak that SOAS is quite not mainstreaming, and it's actually going against the wave a little bit. So I would say if you're thinking of questioning the establishment and having more readings of from professors from the global south, of professor from like even I come here and I read about Mukhtar Habibi, Indonesian experts in rural development, and he's a product of SOAS. Things like this, maybe I can't speak to from other universities experience, but we really see people from the places talking about and doing research in their places and be expert about it. So I'm not sure if those actually in other universities prominently, but so you can totally see that in SOAS. And for example, if you want to come to SOAS to study about Indonesia rural development, you're really going to meet a lot of Indonesians expertise in that field. But also, for example, a lot of scholars also from South Africa, from Guinea-Bissau, from Angola, who can actually share and that experiences around. So I'm not really sure I can speak from which one is best, from Reading or SOAS, but if you're interested in more post-colonial and alternative and more professors from the global south, I would say SOAS, especially on rural development. Yeah.
Yes, I hope that answered your questions, because I think every university, every course shares very different and they're unique. They have like their own unique style of of um, of mengajar ya, of teaching as well. So yeah, you should see which one fits your character better. Like Kak Dini mentioned earlier, like okay, which one suitable for my character? The city, the university, the course, maybe the professors or the lecturers around the campus or the academic studies as well. So yeah, hopefully that answers your questions. I know there are a lot more questions, but we unfortunately we run out of time, so just want to say thank you so much Kak Dini and Mana Berta for joining this very early in the morning in the UK. I mean it's quite like 8 a.m. something like that, 6 hours different from Jakarta.
Yes, it is.
And I think there's still some questions perhaps about the changing of the requirements or the eligibility or the applications criteria. Please go to our website www.chevening.org. It has all the informations that you need. And again, just kind of want to promote a little bit from the Chef Buddy or the Chevening Alumni Association Indonesia Chef Buddy program. They have Instagram live every Sunday, and tomorrow they have another one. I think talking about the similar topics about choosing your course. So yeah, please follow ID Chevening Alumni and do follow us, British Embassy Jakarta at UK in Indonesia, to know when is the upcoming webinar. Actually, the upcoming webinar would be, we'll talk about mastering essays in relationship and networking. So yeah, hopefully you can join that too. So yeah, thank you so much for Kak Dini and Mana Berta. Thank you so much for Mbak Foni and Harry earlier and Prof. Bagus as well from the University of Nottingham. Please consider applying for this year's, because like Kak Dini and Mana Berta mentioned, I mean, you can always come to all these webinars, hearing lots of stories from the alumni and the Chevening scholars, but if you never click submit, you could never be part of the community. So yeah. All right. Hopefully, good luck for everyone applying for this year's or next year. Thank you so much for joining, and see you again. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Mbak
everyone.
Raras, Mbak Foni.
Also, you can listen or watch the recording of this session again on our YouTube channel, Chevening Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Thank you. Bye, Mana Berta. Bye, Kak Dini. Bye, everyone.